Hi, it's Dr. Nancy Zare. Welcome to Succeeding with Smart Buyers and our Selling with Style. This is lesson number 8. I hope you've been enjoying it. And as always, I want to thank you for taking time to invest and learn this essential skill. This program is intended for students in the likability system who already know how to diagnose their prospects. If you're still a little hazy on that, contact me to learn how you can identify people within less than a minute by noticing what they wear, listening to their vocal qualities, or of course going to their social media pages. Our agenda for this program is to talk about the learning style, particularly their behaviors so that you can recognize them, what they buy, and what you can say in order to build rapport and become likable. Yes, I think that most people are stuck in the way they communicate. They have just one way that they present information. And that doesn't always connect with every buyer. The best salespeople outsell the average 57 to 1 because they've learned how to shift themselves to match their prospect. And I think of it as a chameleon who has the innate ability to change its color based on its environment. Well, the best salespeople, when you watch them, you're not going to see them do something extraordinarily different. They look like you or me. And if you ask them, how do you do it? Honestly, it's so natural, it's so automatic, they don't have an answer. You might think it's a secret, but the secret is called a like ability. A like ability. My goal in this program is to help you expand your repertoire to get unstuck and learn how to develop a likability. And we're going to do so by following our system. A likability is a skill that raises the perception in the mind of your prospect that we're alike. That skill of raising the perception that we're alike means that the person's going to relax, you're going to build trust, and sales resistance is going to go away. There are 5 steps in the likability system. Step number 1 is to know that there are 4 different ways that people make buying decisions. The second is to know how you present, because chances are you're selling the way you buy. The third step is to diagnose the other person's style. The fourth is to duplicate or match that style. That's where you get the likability. And finally, you need to downplay and discard that part in you with the rough edges that may be driving them nuts. Today, we're going to focus on duplicating your prospect style, and as always, we're going to use the L.E.N.S personality system. L.E.N.S is an acronym that stands for learning, energizing, networking, and stabilizing. And our focus today is on that learning style, what I call the smart buyer, because they're really buying information and solutions. And when they buy things, it has to be practical, needs to solve a problem, and utilitarian. It's got to have useful life over the long term. Now, this is a very slow decision maker. In fact, it's the slowest. You may have noticed that I actually did the lessons in order from fast to slow. This person needs 7 or more contacts before he or she can make up their minds. That's a long time. What's going on during that time period? They're doing research. Now, initially, they're very open and they're gathering a lot of information, searching the web, reading books, reading articles, asking questions, getting all this information. And then after they have sorted it out and they've gone through some sort of thinking process, all of a sudden, they snap their brains closed and they get very stubborn and they don't want to hear anything more. They've made up their minds. So be aware that this is very characteristic of the learning style. And yet, they're very worthwhile to get as a customer, as a client, because they carry that that rubber stamp of authority, that good housekeeping stamp of approval. Because once this person has done the work and has figured out, yep, I'm going to go with you, their colleagues, their friends say, well, that person's so smart. They know what they're doing. I'll save myself the time and effort. I'll go with you too. And that's a good reason for you to cultivate this person as a customer. So what is it that they want? What is it they need and like? Because you want to give them more of that. Well, they love information. Yes, that's why they read voraciously. They're constantly reading. This is the person that when they go into, an office space or a meeting space, if they didn't bring reading matter with them, they start reading the walls. I mean, they just are so hungry to keep learning and reading. They love that. And of course, they love research. They love to do research. They love to read about research. They love to hear about research. Anything scientific, attracts their attention. They like science and technology of all sorts. These are things that, hum and make them feel good. They love the facts, whatever those facts may be, ingredient lists or, etc. They're the ones that read those labels. They absolutely want to know everything. And they're very good at analysis, and they love to, again, read analytical findings, whatever that might be. This is something that makes them excited. Credibility, they like credibility. They seek it out, credible sources. Again, they'll ask you, where did this come from? How do you know this? Where did you get that statistic? This is the sort of person who needs credibility. And they like intelligence. They themselves are intelligent, and they like people who are also intelligent and experts. They strive themselves to become experts, and they like experts. They like people who have learned so much and are now sharing that information with others. And they like skills. They like competence. They like to be able to do things, to master things, to be at the top of their game. Mention a tax break, mention tax savings, and you've got their attention. This person likes that. That's a smart idea. So now, what are some of the things they dislike? Because we want to avoid them. Well, they dislike socializing. They don't like chit-chat. They don't like talking. This is the reason why they don't come early to meetings. They just feel awkward and uncomfortable. They don't like socializing. They don't like touching. They're not a touchy-feely kind of person, whether it's physical touching or emotional touching. They don't like emotions. They don't like that kind of intimacy, physical or psychological. They absolutely detest inaccuracies. They're the ones who find typos. They're the ones who find inconsistencies, and then they get stuck there and they can't proceed until the thing is fixed. Errors of any sort drive them nuts. Dislike errors. They dislike incompetence. They want people to be skilled and able to do things and have the knowledge and the information, and immediately they get upset when people are incompetent. They dislike selling. They don't like being in a sales situation, and they certainly don't like having to sell themselves. And they're also very shy about praise and recognition. They don't like to be singled out. They don't like for you to take notice of them. They just like to be able to do their job and do it competently. So now let's take a look at their buying behaviors. As I indicated, when they come to a meeting, they tend to arrive on time, maybe even a few minutes late, because honestly, they don't like that chit-chat. They don't like waiting around. It's uncomfortable and awkward for them. And as far as a greeting goes, I told you they dislike touch, so they don't usually offer a hand in a handshake. But if you've ever had a shake with a fishy handshake? You know the one I mean, where the hand just kind of sits in yours and doesn't really hold yours and is just kind of limp? Well, that's probably coming from that learning style, because this is a person who really doesn't like touch. So they just kind of give you their hand, but they don't put their heart in it. When they come to a sales situation, there's a good chance they're preoccupied. Remember, they're a thinker. They're always got things on their mind, and they're always reflecting and going through stuff. So, yeah, you may not have their full attention. They tend to be quiet, especially if they don't know about the product or service that you represent. They feel like a fish out of water. They feel incompetent. And as soon as they do, that's when they pull back and they get very quiet. They don't want to show that they don't know. Very little eye contact, because they're not into the social experience. They're into the world of the mind. And so they don't really make a lot of eye contact with you or others. And of course, they have done homework ahead of time. They've always done research. Rarely are you going to meet them before they've sat down and have studied intensely on that particular area, because this is who they are. They need to delve deeply into a subject matter. And they do that by asking a lot of questions. The kinds of questions they ask are deep, probing questions, questions that explain how things are done. They want to know why it's being done. These are the sorts of questions that they'll be asking. Now, what is it that they're buying? Remember, they're buying information and solutions. Absolutely, they love to buy information, all sorts of data. This is what turns them on and excites them. And they're buying technology, science, cutting edge. They love the technology, because it can help you do more. Gadgets. Yes, this is the person who owns them, but they know how to operate them. They know how to program them. They take great pleasure and joy in doing that. They're buying solutions, absolutely buying solutions. There's always problems to be solved, and that's what they're buying when they're contacting you. So how can you work with them in the most optimal way and develop a likability? Well, you want to provide information. Remember, that's what they're buying. So drip on them. It takes 7 or more contacts before they can make up their mind. So have information that you can send them periodically through emails or drop off documents or whatever you need to do. This is a person who just gobbles up and loves information, including, websites that they can explore. Present yourself as the expert. This is a person who wants you to be that expert. They want to trust and work with people who are the best in their field. You need to ask questions. The more skilled you are at asking questions, to help guide their thinking, to help them, understand the nuances of what you have to offer. This is a person that's going to respect you. Ask questions yourself. Remember, they'll have plenty for you. You need to also ask it of them. And then let them think. This is the person that when they tell you, I need to think it over, it's not actually an objection. It actually is a sign that they may be buying. So let them think. They need to think. You cannot pressure them. If you do, you have lost that sale, because they're very slow at making up their minds. And anytime they feel pressure, if they feel that there's urgency, if they feel that you're going to, remove the offer, they will walk away. They'll just totally say it's not worth it. So be aware. That's who they are. They'll cut off their nose in spite of their face. So now, what can you say to develop rapport? Again, the words you choose need to be words that are focused on the values of the learner. And you want to talk about information and data and solutions, because this is what will make them feel at home. Talk about, experts and authority and the competence and skills, because this will make them feel like you get them. Talk about science and research and technology. Again, these are the words and the values that resonate with them. Give them more of what they need, want, and like, and avoid the things they dislike. So, what are the things to ask to build rapport, to test that you're in rapport? You're going to ask, does this make sense? Does this make sense? Because to the learning style, it's all about understanding it intellectually. Or is it logical? That too is another question that helps them feel like, yeah, it's about my mind. Do you need more information? Great question to ask. What kind of information can I provide? Do you have all the information that you need? And how long do you need to think it over? Because this person is slow and there's an expression, analysis paralysis, you may want to set a deadline. Like in a week or so, would that give you sufficient time? And set a deadline in order to move forward. So again, you need to practice. And it takes about 10,000 hours, according to Malcolm Gladwell, in order to be a natural. So here's what I suggest to get out of your comfort zone. When you meet that learning style, I want you to ask, does it make sense? See how they will respond to that question. Does it make sense? Because when you're in rapport, they will feel comfortable and will be willing to work with you. Well, that concludes Selling with Style, lesson number 8. Here's to your sales success. This is Dr. Nancy Zare. Thank you.